Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you today on Channel 52 on our first episode, actually, in the studio. And the speciality of this episode is that I have a co host with me, Nusrat Suhail. She's co hosting with me on this show.
Hello, Amber. Um, thank you. Thank you, Amber, for inviting me. This is a beautiful studio. Love it. We have wonderful friends here with us who are going to make this evening an exciting evening for all our viewers, all our listeners here.
So I welcome you guys on the South Asian Woman introduction with 2020 elections, and it's a very important time for all of us, specifically for us as women from South Asian background. It's even more important. So to do this, I have invited a very beautiful panel with my friend Nusrat, and I'm gonna go ahead and introduce them. Briefly, the thing is that it's such a beautiful and rich panel that even if I want to introduce you guys, I would not be doing due justice. So I would really ask you guys to introduce yourself and, tell us more about yourself. So the first person I would be starting is Rifat Chigani. Rifat Chaktai, and you are from Pack Park National Board member and a political activist. So please go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Amber, for inviting me and Nusrat as well. I've known Nusrat for a while. We've been on the same panel quite a few times. My name, Rifa Chuptai, my name is Rifa Chuptai, obviously, but I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Um, I don't know where to start, but politics is in my blood. Let's put it this way. Even when I lived in Pakistan, was in college in Pakistan, I was very heavily involved in politics over there as well. Any activism, anything to do with human rights or um, people's rights, I would be on the forefront. And I remember my mom used to say that somebody's going to shoot you or तुम्हारी body घर लेके आएंगे, which was a little too drastic. But um, I when I came to United States, I did my master's in psychology from here, and I also have a master's in MBA in healthcare management. But I've always politics has been my passion. I've always supported the local Pittsburgh representatives and the Pennsylvania representatives for the federal elections. And in Pennsylvania, across Pennsylvania, a lot of our representatives know me. Our senator, Senator Casey, is a really good friend, and whenever it comes to doing anything political, I'm the one he reaches out to for this particular area. So when Biden's campaign started, the announcement was made. Senator Casey was the first one to uh, endorse him. And the next day, I got an email from his chief of staff that Rifat, get ready. Yeah, Vice President Biden is running for the presidential um, position. So, and Casey has endorsed him. So we'll need all the help we can get. I even for Casey, I've always mobilized the Pakistani American community, and it has worked out really well. So from that perspective, I was very keen on helping Joe Biden and his campaign, and that's why I'm over here.
So why don't we ask Zebu? Zebu Chilani is a really dear friend, and whenever I ask her for anything, she's right there. So when I planned to have this panel, I reached out to Zebu, and Zebu is of course willingly has taken part in it, wholeheartedly. So she is a philanthropist. She has an organization, non-profit organization, Swat Relief Initiative, and she is known in the community for her work. They have built up a lot of schools in Swat through that organization, and they are doing wonderful work in providing free and cheap healthcare in Swat through that organization. So I would like Zebu to share a little bit more about herself as compared to being just my friend and being a princess of SWAT and the SRI's founder who's making great things happen in SWAT Valley.
Amber and Nusrat, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity. And Nusrat, thank you for that wonderful introduction. We are partners in philanthropy, and I'm really happy about that. And normally, always been involved in philanthropy. I've started my own nonprofit, but I feel that this moment in America is very important for everyone to be involved. And even though my family's been involved in politics for a long time, I've never taken part in politics, even though I've always voted. But this is the first time that I'm taking an active role in politics because I feel that this election is one of the most important in the history of America. So I hope that we can make a difference and we can motivate our fellow community members to vote and to make a difference in this election. So I really appreciate that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zebu. The next person I'm going to introduce is Afshin Shamsi. Afshin is a co-chair, co-director of Mercer County for the Muslim Sea Caucus of New Jersey Democrat State Committee. And she does so much more. I have personally met her many times in the Governor House. Thank you so much for joining us, Afshin. And please, enlighten us about your busy, beautiful engagement with politics.
Well, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity and for inviting me. So I actually have been active in politics locally for a very long time in New Jersey. This is the first time that I'm engaged in working on a presidential campaign, volunteering my time for that. So I've always believed in being civically engaged because in order to have a voice at the table, you have to be there. And so it's important for all of us to be engaged so that when decisions are being made, our views are being considered as part of that. I serve in a variety of different capacities. I'm co-chair of the South Asian American Caucus for the New Jersey Democratic State Committee. I'm Mercer County co-director for the Muslim Caucus of the New Jersey Democratic State Committee. But tonight I'm here in my capacity as co-chair of New Jersey Muslims for Biden, which is a grassroots organization that we pulled together to support the Biden campaign. I am personally, I've never been involved in volunteering for a presidential campaign before, but like many of my co-panelists have said earlier, I think this is the most important election of our lifetime. And I think our democracy is at stake, and this election should matter to everyone. Even if you've never voted before, now is the time to rise. Your country needs you. We all need to step up. We need to do our share to make sure that truth, justice, and equality prevail in this election. That's why I'm involved in this election cycle.
Okay, thank you, Afshin, for this amazing work that you are doing, and getting everyone engaged in the community. And thank you for actually getting me engaged in it too. You reached out, Azra reached out, and asked me to join as co-director of Women Engagement in New Jersey for Muslims for Biden. Committee that you've been serving on. So my question for actually any of you is, we all are talking about these elections are specifically very important. Why do we think that way? And why many new immigrants like us, I consider myself a new immigrant, and many fellow women believe the same too. Why do we need to get engaged in this particular election? Anyone can take that question.
Okay, maybe I'll take that first. It's very easy. We are all immigrants. All 5 of us sitting over here are immigrants. And even during President Trump's 2016 elections or his campaign, he had made some statements that went directly against immigrants. That is the number one reason, because we want our children and our grandchildren to have a safe environment in their country, United States. And we don't see that with the present president. And it's not only just that, there are a lot of issues. Healthcare is a huge issue, because I've seen people, immigrants, who sit around tables and talk about all kinds of issues, that things are getting very expensive. The gas is very expensive. My uncle was supposed to come and his visa is being rejected, or the premiums are going so sky high. These are a lot of issues that we talk about, and these are the issues that we as immigrants need to champion. It's not just about the Muslim ban, or not about a specific issue, foreign policy issue. We are Americans, and we need to try and make sure the American policies and legislation is such which is conducive to the well-being of every American citizen.
Absolutely, I can't agree much with you, Rifat, on that. I want to hear from the rest of the panel.
Okay, so I want to go next. I myself am an immigrant to this country, and I think a lot of us came to this country to have a free life, to enjoy democracy and have equality. So I'm very, very passionate about the 2020 election, because this is a unique moment in the history of our country. And in that sense, that our democracy, I feel that really our democracy is on the ballot. Bill Cohen, a lifelong Republican and senator and congressman from Maine, said that our democracy is on the brink. He added that if we have 4 more years of Trump, we will not be able to recognize this country as a democracy, as Trump is corrupting every single institution in this country. We should regard this year's vote as not only voting for the next 4 years, but for voting for the next 40 years, considering what might happen if Trump has 4 more years to place right-wing judges in the court system, and especially in the Supreme Court, because that's finally where everything is decided. I want to specially appeal to the youth of this country. If our youth does not take part in this election, it will have a hugely negative consequence on the issues that are dearest to all of us, especially us immigrants, like protecting our environment, our pursuit for justice and equality. These things we cannot have without a democracy. Every other issue comes second, because if we don't have the ability to access our democratic system, then all the issues that are near and dear to our hearts will never be realized, especially for communities like us who are a minority in this country. So I'm very passionate about this election, and I'm hoping that everyone will come out and vote, and we will have democracy continue in this country.
From your words to his ears, as you're speaking, I'm getting goosebumps, and the appeal goes to, you're absolutely right, to our youngsters and younger generation, because I see, that many kids and many youth is involved in protesting with Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. And when I'm sitting around with them, I was telling Nusrat that many of them, they are not registered voters. So I did tell them that, but you're doing all this, but it doesn't count if you're not counted. You need to get, registered to vote. And this is the most important, significant election.
and get a census also.
Correct.
So
Afshin, you're
yeah.
gonna go next.
So yeah, I think that I am an immigrant too, right? I migrated here in the late 1990s, and I came here for America's Promise, right? America is a country where you can come with not even $1 to your name, and you can thrive and create a wonderful life for yourself. I think America is probably one of the few countries in the world where that is true, um, and um, and I think that that promise is being affected right now in the way that our democracy is being handled. We see everyone struggling, but particularly we see the middle class and economically disadvantaged people are particularly struggling because we are living in a state where you know the system is being stacked so that if you are affluent, you become more affluent, and if the odds are stacked against you, you're facing much adversity, and so that wasn't always the case in America, and so I think as immigrants, there's a lot at stake for us in this election. The economy is at stake, healthcare is at stake. We should care about it because even our immigration status is at stake, right? We see Trump changing immigration laws every day, and the laws for refugees are being amended so that, and even entry into the country is being impacted, the way that people can be denied just at the border. So I think that this election has implications for all of us. We've already seen what's been happening over the last 4 years. We should all be concerned about what is happening because it is going to ultimately impact us and it is going to impact America's promise for all of us. And so that's why I think as immigrants, if you care about the economy, if you care about healthcare, if you care about justice, truth, and equality, I'll pivot back to that. Like, you should care about this election.
Thank you so much, Afshin. So the next question, actually, I'm going to ask from my co-host, क्योंकि अफशीन एंड ज़ेबू आप दोनों ने नुसरत को एज ए वुमेन एंगेजमेंट को डायरेक्टर के हिसाब से चूज़ किया, मुंतखब किया अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए, और जो बहुत सही बंदे को चूज़ किया इस चीज़ के लिए. तो नुसरत, why do you think, सबसे पहले तो आप you're very engaged with the society, with the community. तो ये एक क्यों आपने फील किया कि ये यही टाइम है और ये क्यों जरूरी है आपके लिए इस वक्त?
तो जो हम लोगों को देख रहे हैं उनको हम ये बताएं, मैं और अंबर साथ साथ बैठे हुए हैं, वीडियो पे लग नहीं रहा पर हम दोनों बिल्कुल साथ हैं. तो शुक्रिया अंबर मुझे अगेन बुलाने का. एंड I specifically thought that I should speak a little bit Urdu also on this panel क्योंकि हमारे साथ जो इस वक्त दोस्त देख रहे होंगे या अपने कुछ सवाल हमें देना चाहते होंगे, तो हम उर्दू और इंग्लिश दोनों में बात करके सवालों के जवाब भी देंगे. कम्युनिटी इंगेजमेंट थोड़ा समझे पैशन है. मैं 2 बेटियों की अम्मा हूँ, सिंगल मदर ने रेज़ किया था, तो मुझे लगता है कि न सिर्फ कम्युनिटी इंगेजमेंट और वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट जो है कम्स नेचुरली बिकॉज ऑफ माय ओन लाइफ एक्सपीरियंसेस, और शायद कुछ जेनेटिक स्ट्रक्चर भी ऐसा है कि हमारे घर में हमारे बड़े बहुत अरसे से औरतों के, बचपन से औरतों की तो आगे बढ़ाने के लिए बातें करते रहे थे. अब ये यहाँ पे आके खुद ब खुद ऐसा हो गया कि हमने नॉन प्रॉफिट वुमेन पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन वुमेन के लिए बनाई है, और मुझे लगा कि उसको हमारी कम्युनिटी ने काफ़ी खुश होके वेलकम किया है, उसका खुशामदीद किया है उसको, और हम काफ़ी यहाँ पे काम करने लगे. और काम क्या है, मिलजुल के कुछ कम्युनिटी बिल्डअप प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं और मज़ा आता है, और लोग भी साथ में चलते रहते हैं. तो समझें कि लोग आते आते जा रहे हैं और कारवां बनता जा रहा है. बट यहाँ मैं कहूँगी कि पॉलिटिकली अभी भी एज अ खवातीन, एज अ खातून माई सेल्फ, हम लोग थोड़ा पीछे हैं. हम जहाँ पॉलिटिक्स की बात आती है तो हम कहते हैं अरे पॉलिटिक्स तो हम नहीं करते, हमें तो ना हमें समझ ही नहीं आती है. तो
और ये औरतों का काम नहीं है,
हाँ, औरतों का काम नहीं है,
हमें इसमें शामिल नहीं होना चाहिए, ये
Right.
आदमियों का काम है, उन्हीं को करने दो.
हाँ बिल्कुल, और हमें तो समझ ही नहीं आता. ये समझ आने ना आने की बात नहीं है, हल्की फुल्की बात तो सबको ही समझ आ सकती है कि कौन सा पॉलिटिकल लीडर हमारे लिए है, हमारे बच्चों के लिए है, मुल्क के लिए, क्योंकि अब हम अमेरिकन भी हैं, सुपर पावर है, तो कौन सा लीडर इम्पैक्ट करेगा आगे। और ऐसी वजह से, इस वजह से मैं पर्सनली बिलीव करती हूँ कि पॉलिटिकल एंगेजमेंट और इसको सिविक एंगेजमेंट का भी नाम दिया जाता है, इस वक्त ज़रूरत है हमारी औरत की। और हम ही तो अपने गोदों में बच्चे बड़े करते हैं, हमारा यूथ हमारे गोद से ही निकलता है, हम नहीं एंगेज होंगे, हमारे बच्चे नहीं एंगेज होंगे, और बहुत टाइम लगेगा उनको इस प्रोसेस को समझने के लिए। तो इस मुल्क में रहते हुए हमें एक्टिव सिटीजनशिप की बहुत ज़रूरत है। और बस इसीलिए हम, मेरी दोस्तें जो काम कर रही थी, उन्होंने आवाज़ दी तो हम भी कूद पड़े इस काम में।
वेरी गुड, बहुत अच्छे।
आप बताएं, आप कैसे एंगेज हैं इस सारे पॉलिटिकल प्रोसेस में? आप भी अपने बारे में बताइए।
मैं इस पॉलिटिकल प्रोसेस में अपना फ़र्ज समझती हूँ, एज ए मदर, एज ए कम्युनिटी एक्टिविस्ट, एज ए एजुकेटर। I think it is extremely serious. जैसे Zebu said it, Rifat said it, and Afshin. It is extremely necessary. हम खास तौर पे जो हम लोग इमिग्रेंट्स हैं, और ये इस मुल्क ने हमें ये जो दिया हुआ है, this opportunity,
Yeah.
then why would we leave it behind? And I absolutely agree with Zebu कि अगर हम लोगों ने ये एक और मौका इस वक्त अगर अवेल नहीं किया, तो अगले जो 4 साल हैं, it's gonna push us back 40 years or even more. Our kids, our own generation, the whole system is impacted. आप Medicaid की बात करें, आप school की बात करें, आप child care की बात करें, it has grounded in roots of everything. So this is actually to me a matter of life and death. So it's extremely serious. और खास तौर पे हम लोग को देख के बाकी लेडीज जो है ना, इवन इफ अगर मैं एक औरत के दिमाग में भी एक ये बात अगर ला सकती हूँ, स्पेसिफिकली इट्स देयर ग्रैंड मदर, दादी, नानी, अगर ये सोच आ सके उनके दिमाग में कि अच्छा, लेट्स थिंक अबाउट इट, सो आई थिंक दैट वी मेड अ चेंज। So the next question I want to ask from any of you guys, that why you support Biden, and why are we supporting Democratic ticket? इसकी specific वजह क्या है?
Sure. मैं आपको बताती हूँ. I have been the president of PAC, which is a non-partisan organization, political organization. We don't support, affiliate with any party, whether it's in United States or in Pakistan. हम लोग totally bipartisan हैं. लेकिन इस वक्त on a personal level बहुत ज़रूरी हो गया है जो अमेरिका की वैल्यूज हैं उनकी वजह से to bring them back to the surface, or bring them back so that the world can see we are still United States, we are still the superpower, we are still respected in the world. हमें बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम इसमें इन इलेक्शंस में इन्वॉल्व हों, और जो बाइडन को बहुत अच्छे से हम सब जानते हैं कि ठीक है, कुछ लोग कहते हैं और बहुत बुरे हो गए ये वो whatever, लेकिन he still has the policies in his mind that he had implemented. अब आप लोगों ने सुना होगा कन्वेंशन पे, पता नहीं कितने लोगों ने कन्वेंशन देखी है, प्रेसिडेंट ओबामा की स्पीच, जिनमें उन्होंने कैटेगोरिकली आपको गिनाया है कि बाइडेन ने किन किन चीजों पे काम किया था डायरेक्टली. उन्होंने ये जो रिकवरी एक्ट था प्रेसिडेंट ओबामा के टाइम पे, जिसकी वजह से स्टिमुलस पैकेजेस मिले थे ऑटो इंडस्ट्री को और बैंक्स को, और इस तरीके से इकोनॉमी को दोबारा रिवाइव किया, जो कि बड़ी फ्लरिशिंग बाय द टाइम ओबामा वाज डन, फ्लरिशिंग इकोनॉमी बन गई थी. तो वो सब जो बाइडेन को हैंडल करने के लिए प्रेसिडेंट ओबामा ने दिया था. फॉरेन पॉलिसी के बहुत सारे इश्यूज हैं जो बाइडेन ने, जैसे ईरान न्यूक्लियर डील थी, उसको भी जो बाइडेन ने हेड किया था. जॉन केरी सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट थे, जो बाइडेन उनके साथ काम करते रहे उसके ऊपर, जो गार्नर द सपोर्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. जो क्लाइमेट चेंज का भी इनिशिएटिव था, उसमें भी जो बाइडन ने लीड ली थी अपने जॉन कैरी के साथ. So from that perspective, इतना ज़्यादा experience और vast experience on so many dimensions उनके पास है कि I have no doubt that he can bring the country back to a place where it needs to be. आप कोविड की बात कर लीजिए, उन्होंने जब इबोला आया था, तो उन्होंने ना सिर्फ यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में प्रिकॉशंस लेने के लिए प्रोटोकॉल सेट किए थे, बट वहां जाके अफ्रीका में खुद जाके उन्होंने बहुत ही अपने बंदों को भेज के रिसर्चर्स को और फिर सारी इंफॉर्मेशन गैदर कर ली थी कि हमें क्या करना चाहिए सो दैट इबोला दुनिया में स्प्रेड ना हो. और बहुत जल्दी इबोला को उन्होंने कंट्रोल कर लिया था. और अमेरिका कोई छोटी मोटी कंट्री नहीं है. अमेरिका हैज टू प्ले इट्स रोल इन द वर्ल्ड. आप वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से अपने आप को बाहर निकाल रहे हो. How can you call yourself a leader of the world? So this is my passion, and this is the reason why I'm supporting Joe Biden.
Very, very fair reasons. And as you said, even you would see on the other side, there's still campaigning going on. You see the crowd, people are going with the mask. And when you see with Joe Biden and, Kamala Harris, that they're still keeping the respect of social distancing, or wahan pe unhone jis tarah se, on the screen time kiya hua hai. So that shows just that the matter that unke andar kitna compassion hai of other people's safety and security.
Absolutely.
So I'm supporting Joe Biden because I'm very concerned about where we are as a nation. I think that racism and bigotry has always existed in America, but for the first time in our history, racism and bigotry has been given a national platform, and it's been legitimized by the President of the United States, the current President of the United States. And we've seen the impact of that. We've seen the impact in terms of the rise in hate crimes exponentially over the last 4 years. Even political rallies turning violent, that never used to happen before, at least not in all the while that I've lived in America, right, since the late 1990s. And so that trend, that violence, and this trend towards legitimizing and amplifying a message of hatred and bigotry is very concerning to me. I'm supporting Joe Biden because I believe that he's a good person guided by good values. I believe he's accomplished a tremendous deal, as Rifat said, during his lifetime, during his engagement in politics. But I'm primarily supporting him because I believe he's a good person guided by good values. I don't believe that I have to agree with Joe Biden on everything, because I don't. But it's his guiding set of values as a good human being, that give me comfort that he can restore our country to what it needs to be from where it is right now. As an example, I'll tell you an issue that I feel very strongly and passionately about. I think as immigrants, we've all cared about immigration, right? But over the last 4 years, we've seen the treatment of immigrants at our borders in such an inhumane way, where children have been torn apart from their families. They've been put in cages. They haven't been given adequate food or water. They're not treated for illnesses. They're dying, and they're being treated like animals, and they're living in conditions worse than we would ever treat any animal. And this is being done by this is being sanctioned by the current president of the United States. It's an intentional policy, and we don't realize it. But there's South Asian immigrants who come through the border as well, and so it's a very diverse immigrant population that's coming at our borders and being impacted by this. It's inhumane, whether or not you whatever you may think your stance may be on immigration and how refugees should be treated. As people who are believers and people of faith, and people who value justice and humanity, I think we all need to raise our voice about what's happening on our borders and to speak out against it. And I personally did that, where I drafted a resolution and called for the reunification of migrant families at our borders and for an end to migrant detention. I'd never done something like that before. but I really felt like I could not sit on the sidelines. And that we were all called upon to stand up against this injustice that was taking place in our names, being paid for with our tax dollars. Um, and one of the things that I think one of the reasons I really support Joe Biden is because he will restore compassion and humanity to our immigration system, because what's presently happening is unacceptable, and it's not, we can't allow this to happen in our name. And if we care about the children at the border, if we care about the families that are being torn apart and so despicably treated, we all need to stand up for an immigration system that's just and that's humane. And so, on a personal note, on an issue that I'm very passionate about and I care deeply about, I'm supporting Joe Biden because his immigration policies are so much more humane, and I believe he will treat all people with dignity and humanity.
Really great message. Actually, I'm so happy to learn that you have done such great work before getting into this political campaign. And definitely, we need to reestablish a faith back in humanity, and we need to have support to uh, all Americans. We cannot uh, let what's happening right now continue for next 4 years, which means maybe that will continue even later on, because that would set up the momentum. So we need to make a change. Okay, Zebu, do you want to share your viewpoints in regards to the same question?
Sure. I'm supporting the Democratic Party and Joe Biden because I feel that they are only hope to get us away from the Trump agenda, which is so inhumane, so inconsiderate of minorities. And if you compare Trump to Biden, a lot of people don't want to vote for Biden, but that's the only choice we have. He may not be perfect, but at least he's more fair than Trump is. He's tried to reach out to our community. He sent us messages. He said he'll give us some kind of voice on his platform. So I think obviously there is no question about it that Biden and the Democratic Party is our choice. And my greatest appeal to everyone is that when they vote, they must vote Democrats down the line, because we have to flip the Senate. If we don't flip the Senate, then even if Joe Biden wins, people like Mitch McConnell are going to block everything. Because remember when Obama was president, Mitch McConnell blocked his right to choose a Supreme Court judge. He blocked every single judge that Obama wanted to put into place. So if we don't flip the Senate and make it Democrat, then Biden and the Democratic Party will not be as effective as to bring change as they should, So that is something that is very important we should think about.
Absolutely true. So on the other hand, I want to change our chain of thought a little bit, because I know we are talking about serious issues, and as Afshin has mentioned about the kids in the borderline, and I am actually I do get report of them because I have worked with Montclair State, where we do get data on abusive kids, and because of COVID, and they are workers who are working in those areas, so they're just releasing it not even to their parents. Nobody even know the actual contact list that kiska bacha kaun tha, kiske maa baap kaun the. So this is how inhumanly it's actually going there. On the other hand, so I want to know from all three of you, actually all four of you, because my lovely friend sitting on this side, that within this political, because people do think that politics is a very negative thing. Politics is not.
And it's very difficult. People think
difficult.
that, you really have to use a lot of brain and you have to remember a lot of things. Yes, all that, but it can be really fun too.
It can be fun too. So I want to ask from all four of you, including you two, कि इसमें आप लोगों का fun experience क्या था? What was something which you guys can share? And I know there are so many of them. So please share something with our audience that which will make our youth and other people that, you know what, this is something that we can do. It's not so difficult, you know.
So I'll tell you, I don't know about fun, but I'll tell you why I think our engagement in politics makes a difference. So for the first time that I can recall in the presidential campaign, there's been tremendous outreach this time to the Muslim community. They've actually engaged a senior Muslim advisor on Muslim engagement, and there's been tremendous outreach across the country to the Muslim community. And their advisor, Farooq Mita, has gone around and hosted all these town halls across the country and spoken to Muslim communities across the country about their concerns, the issues that they care deeply about, the issues that they care passionately about, and really listened to those concerns and then took those back to the campaign. And I hosted one of these town halls personally, and I attended another one as well that was hosted by someone else. And I saw many of the issues that the Muslim community raised in these town halls. I later saw up on a policy platform on Joe Biden's website. And so this is why engagement matters. You can have a voice if you're engaged, and it can become part of a presidential candidate's policy platform. But if you're not there, you can't have any impact. You have no voice. And so if you want to impact change, if you want to have a voice, if you want to see your concerns reflected in a presidential candidate's policy platform, it's important to be engaged because you can make a difference.
Yeah. I actually would like to make a comment on that too. Like yesterday, I was really surprised when Joe Biden made a tweet on Muharram. He wished Muslims Happy New Year, but he also spoke about the Karbala incident. So I was really thrilled, and that connected me to the candidate even more. And I feel that this is the change we all are bringing by getting engaged and by letting these political candidates know that we are a strong community who is existing here as well. So
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
That connected on such a different level.
right.
Yeah, I actually, as Afshin said, I don't know whether it's a funny story or gratifying. It's more gratifying than funny. And that was actually when the Kashmir incident happened and India revoked Article 370 of the Constitution. The Pak actually took a very aggressive and forward-looking stance on it. And for the first time, we had a day for Kashmir at the Hill, Capitol Hill. And since we had been working with different Republican as well as Democratic senators and as well as congressional members, in a matter of 4 hours, we had a letter dictated and signed. It was called the Dear Colleague letter by a Republican congressional member and a Democratic congressional woman. And that letter was signed in turn by 35 different congressional members, which is unknown by many, many organizations here. Somebody from APAC said, how did you guys do this? Because we don't get this much success in a matter of 4 hours. But that was because our community does have relationships with different congressional members. It was just a matter of consolidating that whole thing and reaching out to our friends that this is a very important issue to our community and you need to take action on it. When you go from that point, it becomes much easier to get success. And that is why I always say to people, when you have a fundraiser for someone and they say, oh, they just take your money and just walk away. They are right in a way, because I remember Senator Casey told me this once, that सबसे आसान है पाकिस्तानी American community से पैसे लेने. They take their pictures and then they're happy with it and they're done. They don't have an ask. told me that Rafa, you need to educate your community. Don't let them be used as an ATM machine.
Right.
So that's how, we started pounding and doing advocacy workshops and talking to people and doing different events by which we were educating the community that you are a leader within your community. So you have a relationship with this person. Let's bring him together and let's see what his stance is on different issues. Parkback even goes to the extent of sending a questionnaire to all the new candidates. And the questionnaire is based on the mission of Parkback, which is Pakistani American political organization. So our focus is primarily US-Pakistan relations, and that hence the format of the questions is also such. And when we get the response from them, then we know who is our friend and who's our foe. And then we start building our relationship with them from then on. So this is, to me, is very gratifying, extremely, extremely gratifying.
So,
So, do you want me to say anything, or do you have time?
Bilkul, Zebu, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say that definitely working for a campaign can be very exciting as well as very rewarding. And it can be rewarding in the sense that you meet, and exciting when you meet a lot of new people, because when you meet all your community members or people from other communities, you can have a different perspective. You can learn from them, and no doubt, working for a campaign is hard work, but it doesn't mean that you can't have fun. You can't get rewards. You can't feel satisfied, because I think there's nothing more rewarding than feeling that you made a difference in the democracy of your country. And young people, especially, if you think this is a boring job, it's a very exciting job, and everyone should be involved. Get out, meet more people, learn about your democracy. I think that's our duty as citizens, to learn more about it. And when you run for a campaign, you learn so much about democracy. You learn about things that work, where you can, make a change for your community, for yourself, for people around you, your neighbors. So it's a very empowering thing. And I think young people need to be empowered, and they need to get more involved in this.
I can share my quick fun experience.
Okay.
Maybe it wasn't this year, but last year when I went to Women's March in DC, and there were a lot of political groups there, and of course, um, against current government, because what's happening from past 4 years, we all know that we none of us like it. So I actually really enjoyed it. As Zebu said, it can be fun. Politically engaged doesn't mean that you're just talking and sitting and doing boring talks. There can be different ways that can bring a change. And maybe we might need to do a woman march in New Jersey to get our voice heard and get the youngsters engaged more. And maybe our women can get engaged more. And maybe
And it's a fun opportunity to socialize, and socialize for a cause and make it meaningful, because normally we get together, we socialize, but we don't accomplish anything at the end.
And we don't
It's a
do
socialization with a cause, with getting results, and I think that's very meaningful.
Yeah, meaningful collaboration with social distancing.
yeah.
Which we are doing right now,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we actually have a lot of viewers, and we have a couple of comments. People are watching. There's a lot of flying hearts. Amar Beg also said a great discussion. Sadia Amar Awan said that I strongly believe such topics should be officially heard. Looking forward to many more. So Sadia, you're absolutely right. We are going to be coming again. We're going to be talking more about it as our time to election is going to be coming closer. We're going to come back with the same panel and discussing more, in depth. For Zana Haq said, great topic, and talks. So I know we, as time flew so quick, and we're getting closer to our ending time. So before we end, I do want to ask a question from all three of you. So, what are some things that our viewers at home can do to have an impact on this election, and they can help in getting involved? So, from all three of you, actually four of you, you know, uh,
Can we
your
say it together? Vote. That's the most important thing. If you're not registered, register. And if you're doing mail-in voting, please mail in your ballot early. And it's not the application for the ballot. It is the ballot itself. First, you have to apply get the application for the ballot, send that in, and they will send you the ballot. Unlike what President Trump keeps saying, that they are sending ballots to everybody. They're not sending ballots, they're sending applications of the ballot. So when that happens, send them before October 15th. Please, please, please.
Okay, October 15th. So if somebody wants to register for,
Actually, the date is October 27th, but it is preferred that you send it as soon as possible. So if you send it before 15, that'll be awesome.
and voter registration is ongoing, right? Those who are not registered as voters.
That is also by October 1st, they should do it. Actually, the October 15th date is for the voter registration deadline.
Yeah, everything is actually so important with the deadlines. And, I don't want to talk bad, but that's the reality. Our census it was increased to October 30th, but, he has already signed up the order, and it's now on September 30th is the last date now for census. And I'm involved in the census myself. That's why I know it's almost like 38,000 people's door just in zone Patterson I'm talking about. And I'm specifically talking about Patterson because President Trump has tweeted about Patterson and with the fraud of mail mail ballots fraud. So please make sure you are registered. And the other thing is that if I'm voting, make sure that you yourself go and mail your ballot.
I'll just echo what Griffith said. I think vote, that's the number one most important thing you can do. And then also make sure all your family and friends vote. Like, call them up. Like, that's your share of what you can do in this election. Don't be a bystander. Don't sit on the sidelines. Make sure everyone you know is voting, and let them know why you're voting, why it's important to you, and why they should care. The other thing is, the Biden campaign is actively calling for volunteers. So if you want to do more than vote and you want to get engaged in this election, text the Biden campaign at 30330. Again, text them at 30330, and they will let you know how you can help the campaign. We particularly need help with phone banks. With phone banking that we're doing as New Jersey Muslims for Biden to Pennsylvania Muslim voters. And if you'd like to be a part of that, the Biden campaign is going to be pushing that out as well for us, that phone banking effort that we're going to be pulling together. And so we'd love to have your support. So please do text the Biden campaign and get involved in this election, because no one should be sitting on the sidelines. We're all impacted by what happens in November. And so, as Rifat said, vote, and make sure all your family and friends vote too.
Okay, I will add one thing to it. The political campaigning is not just about voting, it also requires funds, right? So we are soliciting funds also. Anyone who would like to donate to Biden campaign, please connect with us. We would love to encourage this. Although Rifat said that we are considered as ATM machine, Pakistanis are very easy to, get chanda out of them. But this is important. Here we need to even $10, $5, any kind of donation you can make. It's important to bring a change in the current status of the country.
Can I add one more thing, if you don't mind?
Yes,
Another crucial important thing is to volunteer for different precincts. And why that's important? Because what they are doing it, if they don't get enough volunteers for precincts on the day of election, they're combining different precincts and the lines are going to be miles long if that happens. I myself, I volunteered for a precinct just because they couldn't find anybody to be the judge of my precinct. So there are different categories, a judge, a supervisor, and a clerk. So you can volunteer for that. Please do volunteer so we have enough precincts for people to vote.
And how do
Yes.
they become volunteer for
Yeah,
that?
I was going to ask the same thing.
You need to go to your county election bureau,
Mhm.
and let them know you're ready to volunteer. Trust me, they will welcome you with open arms, because they are finding it very difficult to get volunteers right now because of COVID.
Mhm. So I agree with everyone that yes, voting is the most important. Getting yourself registered, voting early, so that we don't inundate the system. That's the reason why it's very important to vote early. And nothing can be done without organizing. So I would suggest that we join a group, the Muslim for Biden group or another group, Pakistani Muslim group. The more organized we are, the more effective we are going to be. So organization is key, and we can even have fun in the bargain. We can meet our friends, we can talk to our relatives. Like Afshin said, we need to get everyone involved. We need to talk to all our make a group for ourselves. Get together with all our friends, relatives, anyone that we know. We need to get in touch with them and tell them to get in touch with their groups. And as this spreads, I think we can have a huge impact. And like Michelle Obama said, that the reason why Trump won was because a lot of people did not come out to vote. And in some of the precincts, he won by just 2 votes in each precinct. That's the average that it came out to. So if people say my 1 vote does not count, that's not true. Every vote counts. So I would, especially young people, I would really encourage them to come out and vote and volunteer, form their own groups, spread the word, register other people who are not registered, and that's the way we can win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with all 3 of you. And actually, Afshin, I really appreciate your that texting, because, nowadays with the COVID and many college students and high school students did not get their volunteer hours, which were they're supposed to do. So that would be a very safe way of getting involved as well. From home, you can make the phone calls. So the number was 30330, correct?
And let me confirm that for you. So it's
Yeah, that's correct. 30330.
Yes. So
But Afshin, I just want to ask you a question that I did text that number and I didn't get a reply. So
you will.
Okay.
okay.
Maybe I'm impatient.
So I do want to take and you didn't get to say your final words.
Well, my final words are, I just want to thank everybody. I'm amazed that what kind of great work you all are doing. And, you're engaging everyone, whoever is around us. And I'm sure by hearing you through, the social media, a lot of women and a lot of other people would get engaged too. Because I'm feeling that those vibes, the motivational vibes to, go and do something and make a change. So I'm sure a lot of other people are feeling the same too. So thank you so much. And thank you.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Thank you for
It was
having
a pleasure and a lot of fun.
Yes.
Continue the conversation.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Wonderful, yeah.
Thank you.
So before we wrap up, I do want to, give the most important messages to all our viewers that, we are coming back with the same panel next time. Soon, and we're going to discuss more our strategies, and please join us with more questions. And again, go outside and please vote. And I do want to reiterate about the census, 2020 census, that how important it is. It only comes once in 10 years. We are very undercounted, and because myself, I'm involved into in local politics here in my city. I know how much funding is impacted, and in this year's census they made specific ethnicities, and so we need to take advantage of that. We need to be counted as Pakistanis, we need to be counted as Bangladeshis, we need to be counted as Arabs, or South Asians. So these ethnicities are there for certain reason, and there are funding available linked with that. So please make sure, because the enumerators are going and knocking on the doors, and people are still saying that, oh, I'm not interested. You have to be interested. It's about you, it's about your kids, it's about next 10 years. It has to impact you, your Medicare, your benefits. If as Muslims we're going to have a nursing home, it better be a nursing home where we can have halal food and things like that. So I'm just giving a couple of examples. So thank you again. Thank you for joining us on Channel 52. And next time, inshallah, we will be joining. And it was so much fun to have you as a co-host. And thank you, Nusrat, for
Thank you, Amber, for allowing me to join.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.